Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I've got a very special guest with me today. You might be familiar with him. His name is 0xCoast. He is the developer of a weight token. Let's just get that out of the way. Made a video about that a long time ago. It was a free airdrop to anyone that sacrificed in some of the PulseChain sacrifice sets. But before we go any farther, before I bring him on today, I just want to explain to everybody that we're not going to really talk about weight at all. So if you're watching this video, you're sitting at home, you're one of those guys, because I know there's a bunch of you out there, and you're trying to front run this live stream, or you bought $100 of weight, and you're trying to be a day trader. First of all, you need to get a better hobby. I know you're probably listening right now thinking, oh man, if you're trying to like trade this live stream or make a quick flip off any information in this live stream, just dump it now, because that's not what we're here to do. We're here to talk about the new ideas, the new things in the pipeline that are going to be huge for PulseChain, I think. Some really creative ideas from what I just heard, but what I'm hearing from 0xCoast is all brand new to me. So I have no insider information, much more than a quick paragraph that he messaged me before the stream. And I'm not here to pump your little weight bag, okay? This little old crypto coffee over here isn't here to pump your little bag. And so enough with the shitcoinery. I'm not calling weight a shitcoin, but I know that's what you guys are all thinking. And I know the price has gone crazy in the last couple of days. Keep in mind that it's still a very illiquid coin, and traders always lose in crypto. The only people that win are long-term holders. And if you think I'm here to pump your bags, I'm only here to pump your Hex, PulseChain bags, and anything else tangential and related to that. So we're going to learn together. Now that I got that out of the way, we're going to learn together about what is going on in the PulseChain ecosystem, because I think this is actually going to be pretty big. Let's say what's up to the chat here. Red Squirrel, what's going on? Hex is the way. Hex Monkey, it was great seeing you in Vegas, my friend. Senior Citizen, Hexkins, what's up? Brenton Elsick, Staked Wealth. Hey, how's it going? Staked Wealth. Blah, blah, blah. And Mango Junkie says, big brain. Maverick says, LFG, wait, baby. Yeah, again, this isn't a pump weight stream, okay? But we're going to talk about something that I think is actually much cooler. And it might all come full circle. I'm starting to get the idea that all, the token and what's about to be presented might all come full circle in the future. But without further ado, let's introduce 0xCoast. Maybe I can just call you Coast. How's it going, bro?
Hey, Coffee. Thanks for having me. It's an honor and a privilege. This is actually, so the Coast is the brand name for the development company that we have, and this is Stoic. So a lot of people who have been in the Telegram probably recognize me, maybe not by my voice, but from being in there chatting with us. Cool.
Did you switch microphones, Coast? Because you're sounding a little different.
No, I've got the same one. You want me to change something? I can.
Oh, that's probably a me issue with the headphones. Anyway, yeah, great to have you on here. And long story short, I think I can just tell the chat this little bit of basically what you told me. So the only thing I know going into the stream is essentially that you are building a fiat on-ramp for PulseChain. Is this correct?
Yeah, exactly. We have been working on it for a few months now, and we are probably going to be ready to launch it when PulseChain launches. But we have built a fiat on-ramp, fiat off-ramp, and one-to-one US-backed stablecoin that will be available exclusively on PulseChain. We've had some people actually ask us if we would release our product on Ethereum and on BSC, and unfortunately, guys, we are not going to be doing that. Our interest is in PulseChain and getting economic energy onto that chain as frictionlessly as possible. And so, we're big fans of bridges if and when they work, but we felt like it was a responsibility that someone build a really solid, really slick fiat on-ramp for the PulseChain. So that's what we've done.
That's incredible. For those that don't understand the significance of a fiat on-ramp or even what it is, let's back up a little bit if you're new here. One of the killer apps in crypto is finding a way to have a non-custodial fiat on-ramp. What does that mean? What does non-custodial mean? It means you hold your own private keys, and if you want to spend $100 to get PulseChain, you can do that using your bank account and this platform, which allegedly you're building, and then get your PLS coins or whatever other token possibly you might add directly in your self-hosted wallet, your MetaMask wallet. Okay. This is huge for the space because it unlocks the entire world to onboard and funnel money into the ecosystem. And what does new money coming into the ecosystem do? It pumps the price. We all get to get rich. So you need to make it easy for people to get into your ecosystem. And right now, the only thing that we definitively have is a bridge, right? So you can bridge your tokens from Ethereum to PulseChain, but all the on-ramps right now are from US dollars into the Ethereum ecosystem. So think about the friction for a newcomer and try to explain to them that they have to buy, Ethereum on Coinbase, and then they have to go from Coinbase to a DEX, and then they got to swap their ETH for Hex, and then they got to bridge their Hex over, or whatever route you want to take. It's like 3 or 4 steps, which means on one hand, there's still so much opportunity because we're still so early. Because it's still so complicated to actually get this shit, it means that there's nothing but opportunity for you. And so imagine when it's a one button click from $100 from your bank account to $100 worth of PLS in your wallet. When that becomes one click, all the opportunity's gone. It's too late, and the price has already gone up 1,000 or 10,000x. But basically, what Coast is saying is that he's developing a fiat on ramp, and we talked a little bit before the stream for like 10 minutes. It's not really like any other fiat on ramp that I'm aware of. So how are you managing to? There's so many questions I want to ask because you said so much, and like even in that short sentence. How is it going to be non-custodial? But let's just start with, how would you describe your fiat on-ramp to people?
Yeah, sure. It might be easy to describe other fiat on-ramps first and then explain why ours is going to be different and the benefits of it being different. So if you use something like Coinbase, or in the US, there's a pretty good app called Abra. One of the disadvantages of those is that these fiat on-ramps are typically connected with a wallet. Sometimes you own your private key, sometimes you don't. In the case of Coinbase, you don't. In the case of Abra, you do. But depending on the method you use to get economic energy into their fiat on-ramp and then onto the chain, they can do various different things to keep you in their ecosystem. So for example, if you do an ACH transfer with one of these companies, you'll get locked in their system for 60 days while they custody your asset, and you can't move it. And so it doesn't allow you to actually do anything on chain. You're basically just giving them your money for 60 days, hoping that they don't, because they're hoping that you don't run some sort of fraudulent scheme with your bank where you say that it was a fraudulent transaction. And so that's why they do this, right? And so then they've also got the added negative externality of, okay, well, now you're in their ecosystem. They deliberately bring you into a stable coin that they control, that you then have to swap to something else. And you usually have to do it within their ecosystem too. So now you're paying them for your on-ramp fee, you're paying them for an exchange fee, you're locked in their system for 30 or 60 days, and it's hard to get economic energy actually onto the chain. And so what we've done instead is we've created a fiat on-ramp where instead of you send your bank account, your money from your bank account to Coinbase's bank account, in our system, you send it from your bank account in your personal bank account to another bank account, which you also own, with all of the other people who own the stablecoin. And so it's based on a ledger system, and it's called what's called a for the benefit of bank account. And what this does is it basically allows you to mint your own stablecoin. At no point will we ever be the custodian of your asset. So as opposed to Coinbase, who have an enormous amount of US dollars in a bank account, and they mint the stablecoin and distribute it to you. In this particular system, you'll send your money from your bank account to your bank account, and your stablecoin will get sent to your wallet, and we will not be a custodian of either.
Wow. Okay. There's so much to unpack. I'm like trying to think about where to begin. When you guys try to buy something on Coinbase and you have to do all the verification process, well, this fiat on-ramp, it's still going to require KYC. That's just a given because it's going to be in the US. Is that correct? It is going to be in the US, right?
Yeah, it'll be in the US, and our intention is to launch in every state. And one of the reasons why we think we're going to be able to do that is because of the custody issue, because we're not a custodian of the asset. And so there is a very good case that we're actually not in the flow of funds at all. And so we're not a money transmitter and not a money services business potentially. We still have to confirm those things with regulators, but that's our design intention of the system.
That's incredible, and I hope you can pull it off. That's like nothing I've ever heard before. Guys, you know, when you try to put money in Coinbase and they tell you it's going to take 3 to 5 business days to process from ACH, and you're pissed off because in crypto, that's a lifetime, right? Price can move up 50% in that time, and you might get a worse deal. This would cut out all the middlemen of that. So it's almost as close as you can get to not being a middleman, other than essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're doing is you're kind of an umbrella account. And for everyone that signs up with this fiat on-ramp, they almost have a virtual or a mini bank account under this umbrella. That's their, doing business as bank account or whatever you might want to call it. So let's just go through the workflow, I suppose. So I've got my bank account. It's registered with the United States Bank. I want to chuck some money into PulseChain. How long does it take me to send my money into the bank account that, do you have a name for this platform yet? Or can we not talk about that?
Yeah, it's just at present, it's just the Coast stablecoin, and we'll be using the hashtag CST. We are open to maybe focus grouping that and having it be PST or Pulse stablecoin or some other derivative thereof. But for the moment, we're using that as a placeholder. It's just Coast.
Wow, cool. So you're creating a stablecoin called CST. So it's going to one-to-one back every dollar that I send into the CST platform.
Yeah, so it's a bank account that is shared by, or it is administered by Coast, but the assets are not Coast's assets. So it's different from Coinbase in the sense that when you send an asset to Coinbase, it's in Coinbase's bank account with their EIN listed, right? Whereas in our system, you'll still be sending it to a bank account, but it's actually your bank account with our bank, not our bank account with our bank. And when the stablecoin is minted for you, it goes instead of to a custodian address where we're custodying your asset, it's actually just going to go straight to your PulseChain address. And so you have your bank account and your PulseChain address, and we are an administrator, but we are not a custodian at all.
So what does the process look like of me sending money into the administrator's bank account?
Yeah, so look, we're still going to have to do some fraud detection stuff on the front end. So creating an account will require getting through some fraud checks, and we will have to require KYC. However, I can, as of right now, based on the banking partners that we've spoken to, that KYC is not going to require selfies. It is not going to require you writing anything on a bit of paper and holding up next to your face and showing
Thank
what
God.
the date
That
is.
always makes me feel like I'm in a hostage situation.
Yeah,
in fact,
yeah. In fact, when vetting banks, which is what we've been doing this week, is interviewing banks, that's one of the core things that we've said is that if you require KYC in that format, we're probably not going to move forward. So that was sort of a prerequisite. So you still have to complete some KYC. You still have to verify who you are, but when you import a wallet, so you'll be able to link a MetaMask wallet, or actually we're going to use a new system which should support many more wallets. You'll have completed KYC. It will give you the ability to then choose an amount of money you want to send and choose a payment method. You'll upload either an ACH details for your bank account, or you could be presented with wiring instructions if you would prefer to send a wire. Some people do, especially with larger amounts. So I would like to make it clear though, like you will not be able to purchase anything else through our DApp. You will only be able to exchange your US dollars in your bank account. You'll be able to send them to the FBO bank account and mint CST to your wallet address that you specify, but we will not be able to sell you Pulse, or we will not be able to sell you pulsex or Weight or Hex or anything else, unfortunately. The reason for that is we are not going to have MTLs at launch, money transmitter licenses, or securities broker dealer licenses. So we cannot sell those assets to you. With our system, you come to us, you mint your stablecoin, it's on chain, and then you can do with it what you choose. And I think the best workaround for this is we will probably send you a little bit of Pulse as a little bit of a, hey, here, get started. And then we'll have a front end integration, or maybe just run a front end for pulsex to allow you to trade.
So this almost reminds me, correct me if I'm wrong, it almost reminds me of something similar to what TrueUSD does. TUSD?
Yeah, it's very, very similar. Yep.
Wow. Okay. So the only thing we're really doing with this platform is exchanging our fiat, dirty, scum, Illuminati fiat dollars for a digital version of that dollar. We take that dollar, that digital, stablecoin, and we take that back into our self-hosted wallet to be able to buy PulseChain with it. But we have to do the buying of the PulseChain ourselves.
Correct. We will run a front end for pulsex on it'll be just sort of the exchange or the trading tab on our DApp, but you'll be interfacing directly with pulsex. We won't actually be selling you the asset or exchanging the asset for you.
Okay, interesting. So if you do have a MetaMask in your browser, you're going to have that stablecoin sitting in the MetaMask, and at that point, you no longer have any of this. You no longer technically own any of the stablecoin. The stablecoin is entirely custodied by the user, and the user can just go through, a portal within the website on the online platform and buy whatever they want. But they're interacting with PulseX at that point. They're interacting with the smart contract DEX. The only interaction you basically handle is the conversion of USDs to digital USDs.
Yeah, exactly. If you go to the trading tab on the Coast website, it will be just like going to ethex.com, right? Where it's a front end for a DEX.
This is pretty awesome. Like I love TUSD for that reason, of that it is more of an official way, and also the fact that they don't seem to limit you on dollar amounts that you can put into it. Do you have any idea what the limits might be for this platform?
They will probably be dependent on the jurisdiction that you're operating in. So there will not be a technical limit from our side, but there might be an imposed limit on us by different jurisdictions. We're yet to find out what those are.
Okay. Yeah, have fun with that. Have fun, especially in New York.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned TUSD, because the system is modeled very closely on what they did at Trust Token. We probably won't have that 5-asset bundle, at least at launch. But yeah, we saw what they did, and we really like that model.
Yeah, I've only ever used it for their stablecoin. I did not know they actually had 4 other assets. So
yeah, they've got a basket of different assets, like Canadian dollars is one, and TCAD I think is what it is, and Australian dollars, etc. So there's a little basket of 5 different fiat-backed currencies. So I don't know if we'll do something like that in the future, but for now it'll just be CST.
Yeah, you could always expand, and I'm so happy that you're here. You're doing this. You've got the weight token out, and I know there's some connection. Well, I don't know, but I'm inferring there's going to be some connection with that and the fiat on-ramp in the future. But that's just a random ass guess because you're the developer of both. Obviously, I know you can't really say anything about it. So what is my next question? I suppose you can always expand into Australia, Canada, whatever, but we really needed a US on-ramp. We really needed one. OKX is rumored to maybe be doing it, but we can't just rely on rumors, right? It's nice to know that there's an actual dedicated human being in the ecosystem that's committed to making US dollar on-ramps, because we actually already have USD on-ramps in a large part of Europe. We've got hexakin.store, where you can credit card buy Hex with literally credit card in most parts of Europe. And there's a couple other ones as well. They're trying to remember. Poloniex now lists Hex, and they have a USD on-ramp as well. But this is something way different. This is something truly innovative. And the more it's kind of information overload, because I don't even know the right questions to ask. Hey, RH Max, oh my God, thank you for the 55.55 tip, sir. He says, we need to wait for PulseChain as long as it takes. Even if it's longer than we shouldn't have had expectations that it would be. Oh, so yeah, even if it's longer than our expectations, which we shouldn't have had. Be patient, make the right moves in this bear market, make the bear market work for you. Learn in the bear, we got this. RH Max, it was great meeting you at PulseCon 2022 in Las Vegas. Smart dude right here. And go like and subscribe to RH Max. He's got a lot of cool stuff to say. I actually learn a lot from him. I'm always learning in crypto, but there's fewer and fewer people that I'm able to actually learn from as time goes on. I don't say that to be an asshole. It's true. He's one of those guys that I learn a lot from. So like and sub. Thanks, dude. Yeah. So anyway, back to the fiat on-ramp. How long is it going to take? When launch, sir?
I mean, there's no reason for us to launch anything before PulseChain comes. So for right now, we're dealing with some of the technical aspects, but it's almost ready to put up on testnet. I don't know that a lot of people are going to want to do KYC on testnet, but for anyone who does, they'll be welcome to. And then really the only question for us is not technical, it's jurisdictional, right? It's making sure that we can operate in as many places as possible. So that's really where the legwork is right now, and that's what we're working on behind the scenes. We spend, for every hour we spend on technical aspects of this project, we probably spend 8 or 9 or 10 on the paperwork and the legalese. So that's really where the time commitment comes in.
Yeah, it's always the legalese, isn't it? It's funny because you found a way to route around to bypass potentially the money transmitter licenses, and that's like collecting 50 infinity stones. It's different in every state. They've all got, and I've looked into this before because I wanted to know what it takes to make a fiat on-ramp. Every state has their own bond that they require. It's called a surety bond. It's some BS where like you essentially have to lock up. In Illinois, for example, it's $200,000, and you have to pay them a yearly fee on retainer. And that happened. They have one of those in every state, so it adds up. It becomes a very expensive endeavor when you have to get an MTL, a money transmitter license, in all 50 states. Just one of the funny things about America. Hey, the only Juanito. Great seeing you in Vegas too. That's awesome, man. Thanks for the tip. I really appreciate that. Always a pleasure. I've seen you at a whole bunch of these things, so thank you. And we've got another tip from Joseph Mensch. Can you recommend crypto tax software that works with Coinbase and MetaMask? Well, I used to know some tax software, but I haven't used it in a while. I just have tax guys now, so I just have CPAs that handle it now. Some software might be. Do you know any software, Coast, for taxes?
It's not going to give you it's not going to spit out taxes because taxes are very, again, jurisdictionally based. But I really like Zappa.fi, and I give those transaction details to accountants pretty routinely. I think it's a Finnish-based software, so zapper.fi. At least it gives them the ability to sort of break down your transactions more easily.
That's cool. I'll post that in the chat. Zapper.fi.
Yep.
We check that one out, Joseph. Zapper.fi.
Doesn't have hex stakes, unfortunately. That's the only thing it doesn't do.
Yeah. Well, not to mention all these Hedron and Maxi crazy things going on. Like we're innovating so much faster than they're ever going to be able to regulate. It's kind of interesting. It's almost like a catch me if you can situation. But yeah, so this is exciting stuff. I'm pumped. I know you also have a Tide token out, and I just wanted to clarify for people that might be asking, because I'm asking this, is this Tide token going to be related to the fiat on-ramp, or it's totally separate?
No, Tide's a separate project we were working on. We had been working on it for 4 or 5 months before we decided to pivot over to Wait and to the Coast Stablecoin platform. It's not quite a hex derivative product or a hex pooling product, but it does have some of those elements. And eventually, with all the work that's being done on Power City and all of the Maximus perpetuals and whatnot, we just felt that if we couldn't add a huge amount of value, the 0 to 1 sort of concept, if we couldn't add that much value to the hex contract by doing this thing with Tide, then we needed to go away and make it much, much better. So that's what we're working on right now. We've changed some of the underlying math, and that'll probably be our sort of version or our third product release. But it's not clear and obvious that it adds enough value to really put effort behind it right now. So right now we thought, hey, the biggest thing we can do for the ecosystem is fiat on-ramp. We're in the US. We'll fill out the paperwork. We'll deal with the regulators. We'll get this thing up that benefits everybody. Yeah,
I agree with going for the low-hanging fruit or the most bang for your buck. You get diminishing returns with projects that are repetitive. So if someone tried to make another Maxi, probably wouldn't hit as hard, wouldn't be as useful. I'm really happy that you're focusing your energy as a developer too, someone technically minded, into something that's also, involves a lot of regulatory certainty and know-how and legal know-how. So is it, when it comes to your team, is it just you, or do you have a couple other guys?
No, there's 6 of us. We have outside legal counsel for now, but we're looking to bring on internal legal counsel, just because those legal fees start to add up after a while. But yeah, look, like I said, we spend more money on paperwork and accounting and legal stuff than we do on development, unfortunately. So I don't envisage that changing anytime soon.
Cool. Well, that brings me to another question. How do you make any money on this? I mean, I'm assuming you're charging a fee, right? Some kind of a small fee?
Yeah, so different providers in this space charge different fees because they have different revenue streams. So, for example, we were talking about Coinbase, right? Well, putting money into Coinbase is typically fee free, or at least it is now, I think. But they're going to get you on your exchange services within the platform, right? Because we're not going to be a custodian of an asset and we're not charging exchange fees on anything, it's really not going to be possible for us to draw an income stream from that. So, but similarly, like the other on-ramps products that there are, like Simplex, I think we mentioned earlier, the fees on that are pretty astronomical when you get into it. Like you can be charged as much as 18% or an 18% premium if you want to swap $1,000 USDC. It's terrible, right?
Yeah. So people that don't know, there was a buy.hex.com website a couple weeks ago that people were getting all excited about, but really it was nothing new under the hood. It was just a front end for for being able to buy Hex with a credit card using Simplex as the payment processor. But people didn't realize they're also charging you a 10% fee. So while it is so much easier to just spend $500 with your credit card, wouldn't you rather take a couple extra steps and get charged not a 10% fee?
Yeah, it's also not an off ramp, right? You can't get out of it back to your bank account, so it's not as useful if you go in the other direction.
That's a great point. So what you're building is, we keep saying fiat on ramp, but it's a fiat on and off ramp. It's a bi-directional street, and we all want to cash out someday, right? Let's not beat around the bush here. We all want to buy stuff with our crypto, and as long as they're not accepting Hex at your local convenience store, you're going to need to cash out at some point.
Yeah, and look, we're not going to have a whole bunch of additional features in here, right? We're not going to have 3% yield staking, right? We're not going to try and lock you into a crypto savings account or anything like that. It's going to be a very, very simple platform, and as a result, like there is really only one revenue stream for it, and I don't think it'll ever be like a major, hey, we're going to get rich with this thing. I think that it's not quite a loss leader in the sense that we're not going to, I hope not lose money on it, but I don't think we're going to get rich on it either. So it's just something we have to consider.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe there's a way to monetize using the weight token somehow. I mean, you're starting a business, right? You should be making some money. It's okay if people get so triggered when other people try to make money in cryptocurrency, but as long as you're providing, in my opinion, a valuable product or service, and this to me is one of the most valuable services available, I feel like there should be some kind of monetization route. Hold on, though. I got to give a big shout out to Ryan Lopez. That was a huge tip, bro. Thank you. That was really generous, man. Ryan says, great stream with lots of solid info. Coast has been very professional so far. Looking forward to stablecoin and fiat on-ramp for PulseChain. Much needed. #wait. Yeah, and thanks so much for the tip, dude. That's much appreciated. I got distracted. Where was I? Oh, monetization of the platform. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, do you want me to break down the fee structure?
Yes, please.
Okay, easy. It's a flat 4% fee on the on-ramp or the off-ramp. You can get discounts on that fee by staking some sort of PulseChain asset. We're not sure exactly what it'll be yet.
There's your alpha, guys. Read between the lines.
We've modeled this over on a system that's used by 1inch in their DAO. So anyone who's used the 1inch.io website or the DApp before, it's a DEX aggregator. They have a DAO system where you can get a gas refund on your exchanges. I think if you stake 1,000 1inch, you get a 25% kickback in 1inch when you trade. And I think it's about a 10x for a doubling of that discount. So if you stake 1,000, you get a 25% discount. If you stake 10,000, you get a 50% discount. And if you stake 100,000, you get a 75% discount. Sorry, gas refund. We're going to use something very similar. So there'll be a PulseChain asset that you'll be able to stake in the fiat on-ramp. The only wrinkle to that is the way 1inch works is that you can just unstake anytime. But in our fiat on and off ramp, you'll be able to stake. But if you unstake, I think it'll be somewhere between 2 and 5% of your asset will be burned. So whatever asset we choose to do this with should technically have deflation. So coins being taken out of supply if you choose to unstake.
Wow.
So
So
what that is,
it's take the coins for lower fees.
Yeah, it's designed to keep people staking for longer, because if you decide to stake in order to do a transaction and then unstake, you're obviously going to lose a little bit of your principal. Whereas if you just leave it there, you're not going to incur any sort of fee.
Yeah. So long story short, this is a very valuable proposition for any kind of digital asset to be held. Lower fees, essentially. So it would go from 4% to 3 to 2 to 1%.
Yeah, I think 1% will be the base. I don't think we'll ever go below that unless we decided to release some sort of institutional product. But we are actually also working on different ways that other dApps and other providers in the space would be able to utilize our fiat on-ramp as well. So let's say hypothetically you were an algorithmic stablecoin, and you had a huge number of assets, but you didn't have a fiat on and on ramp attached to your stablecoin. We will probably have the ability for you to utilize our fiat on ramp for your stablecoin, depending on your jurisdiction. So you might have to have a money transmitter license, but you could use our ledger system.
So plug and play with different stablecoins.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. So we're going to hopefully have a way for any other dApps that are out there who have got a user base and have a cool product. We'd like to be able to provide a way for us to plug our system into theirs so that they can utilize it.
This is pretty wild to me. I mean, I can see if this is successful, the CST stablecoin. And guys, if you have a good idea for a new name or ticker symbol for CST stablecoin, comment in the chat or the comments below if you're watching this later, because I mean, Coast stablecoin sounds good, but maybe we could do better. But anyway, yeah. So if I could easily see this Coast stablecoin becoming the primary liquidity pair in PulseChain in general, if it works out and if it's their day one, it would be amazing to not have to rely on USDC, right? And to not have to rely on, even worse, bridged USDC. Because I was envisioning a lot of liquidity pools with like Hex and then EUSDC. And that just becomes so complicated because in order to cash out, you have to bridge back over, pay a fee on the way back, pay a fee to your Coinbase, your Gemini, or your Kraken or whatever. And this would just take so many steps out of the equation and probably save the users a lot of money too. I mean, I would be very willing to pay 4% if it means I didn't have to pay, 2 gas fees and 2 exchange fees, right? So
yeah, that's certainly the design intention is reduce that friction.
So what do you know about USDL or LUSD, the liquid loans proposed stablecoin? Is this, I mean, how do you see that one? Do you view it as competition, or how is that?
No, definitely not. In fact, I would love to explore a partnership with groups like them, because I think they could utilize the fiat on-ramp, off-ramp portion. I think it would be challenging, but I think we're all going to have slightly different user bases in this space, even if we're all operating on PulseChain. And being able to do fiat on-ramp and off-ramp for everybody is important. We don't want to have to rely on the guys from USDL or Liquid Loans bouncing people out to our website to use the fiat on and off-ramp and then come back. Like, it'd be great if it was seamless and it was just built into their GUI. Yeah,
and that goes along with what you're saying with the plug and play. Maybe they buy an SDK from you or something, and they're able to use that in their GUI.
Yep, exactly.
I could easily see Liquid Loans being one of your first big customers. I'm sure it would just be a legal battle for, Jesse and Blue Bum and whoever's working on that right now. It'd be a lot of paperwork, shit like that. But I could easily see that happening. That should be. I would nudge you guys to partner together, because that could be incredible. 2 stable coins right off the bat when PulseChain hits the ground would be incredible.
Yeah, we're definitely open to it. Any sort of partnerships like that. We haven't been around as long as everybody else necessarily, but I think we've developed a relatively good reputation in the last few months. But I might want to, if you don't mind, I might want to touch on the sort of exit strategy for this business, which is kind of novel as well.
Please.
I think we all know that Richard's pretty committed to having vertical integration. So I'd just like to take this opportunity to say that the Coast system, the stablecoin, the infrastructure, and all of the licensure attached to it is for sale to Richard at any time he wants to buy it. And we can decide a price. It doesn't necessarily need to be that much, but if he doesn't want to do all of the work, he's welcome to just take the operation over.
Richard, if you're watching, pretty good offer, but I know you're a busy man, so these guys seem like they've thought about this a lot. Let them know. Send 0xCoast a DM if having a stable coin on PulseChain is interesting to you, sir. I hope Richard watches my streams. That'd be nice. Sonny has actually a pretty good question. I think I actually might be able to answer it. What is CSD backed with? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's just backed with the dollars that all the users are sending into, via whatever method, ACH or wire transfer from their bank accounts into their, let's call it their Coast account. It's all backed with just user money, right?
Yeah, it's one-to-one backed with fiat in the bank account. So the money is allocated to individual users via a ledger. We should all be pretty familiar with ledgers, but this is obviously an off-chain ledger. So it's you send your money into the bank account. The bank account holds the US dollars, and then the CST is minted automatically and sent to your address. And so the dollars always stay in the bank account.
Yeah.
Yep.
There will always be one backing, because imagine just like thousands of people are funneling their money into one big bank account, and the only way for that bank account to mint, the CST, is if that money exists in their physical bank account. So there will never ever be more CST minted than there is money in the bank account. There might be less, however. I mean, you could actually have people losing or burning CST, and actually have a scenario years from now where there's actually more money in the bank account than there is CST in existence. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, it's a good question, actually, because it sort of dictates where fee revenue is stored. So you could maintain the fee revenue in the core FBO bank account, but it probably makes more sense to send it out to a secondary bank account, which would be CST, or like a business bank account that would be used for that. So I think it's probably the case that it would always have the same number and they would be minted on chain and sent to another address. But you're exactly right. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. I guess if anybody is foolish enough to literally burn dollars, just more for you guys, I guess.
Well, actually, it's interesting you mentioned the burning, because that's how the off-ramp works. So let's say you're a person who didn't actually use the on-ramp, right? You just have CST because you did a Uniswap trade, or a pulsex trade, and now you're holding $1,000 in CST and you want to off-ramp. Well, you can similarly come to the Coast DApp. You can do your fraud detection and KYC checks. And then when you go to actually off-ramp, you do it by just burning your CST. So you send to the burn address, it gets burned, the system recognizes that you've done that, and then it allocates the fiat to you in the ledger, allowing you to withdraw. And this whole system is automated, actually. So you're really, as long as you've linked a bank account, it's actually, you kind of burning your stablecoin and receiving your fiat. We don't have a touch point with it.
Cool. And what validates the bank account? Are you using a middleman like Plaid to do the bank verification?
Yes, on the off-ramp we will. It'll be something like Plaid. I don't think it'll be Plaid, but something similar, yes.
Interesting. So you don't need to verify the bank on the on-ramp, but you do on the off-ramp?
Yeah, so you can, for example, with a wire transfer, right? If you're receiving an incoming wire transfer to your bank account, you don't necessarily have the ability to send it back, right? There's no withdrawal, there's no fraud detection and chargebacks. So you don't have to verify the bank account on the way in, but you do on the way back because you're sending to an address or to a bank account.
What if on the way in, on the on-ramp, I guess if it fails, then you don't mint the coin. So that's pretty simple.
Yeah,
Like
as
if
long as
the
it settles in the bank account. So the ledger system is actually also the payment provider, or sorry, the merchant account that does the processing for us. So you run the transaction on the DApp. It authorizes the money to be withdrawn from your bank account. The payment processor does this. It allocates it to you in the ledger, and then an API call mints the stablecoin for you on chain, and then changes the ledger. So it all happens automatically.
yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. I wonder. Actually, I just forgot my question. We're getting a lot of comments here. 1 to 4% is wild cheap. Usually costs 8 to 10% to off ramp. Yeah, that's true. It's pretty awesome. This is kind of in line with my question about limits. Will accounts be flagged if it's over 10K? Golden CD wants to know.
So it kind of depends on what you mean by flagged. We will be operating within a regulatory environment dictated by FINRA and the FDIC. And so in the case where there are transactions of that size, we're required as a money services business to submit those transactions. Now, does that mean that you will be prevented from doing future transactions? Absolutely not. But it does mean that we have to keep records of that and distribute them to regulators. It's a requirement.
Yeah, that's one of the things when you're starting one of these businesses is typically there's not only money transmitter licenses, but also you have to be licensed with FinCEN as a money services business. I guess there's no getting around that one. You know, they probably claim it's for, you know, I don't know, terrorism and all that stuff. But yeah, so I can still send like 50K in. I'll just have to know that I'm registered on some FinCEN list somewhere.
Yeah, and it's actually not 10K. The limit's 3K.
3K.
When you get into this, yeah. So I don't know when that changed, but it's $3,000 now.
Okay. Well, guys, if you don't want to be on that list, $2,999 over and over again. But it's really not like a bad thing to be on this list, right? It's like they just keep track of people mostly for tax purposes. Honestly, it's not even really for domestic threats or anything like that. It's mostly just to tax you because they don't want you getting away with hundreds of thousands of dollars of unregistered money, right?
Yeah, they do want to know if there are foreign entities doing large purchases through US bank accounts. That's important to them. That's actually the most important thing to them. You know, if some company that's based out of Singapore is running $100,000 a day through your system, then FinCEN wants to know about it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Foreign and domestic. Well, keep asking good questions, guys. Crypto Stylist says, don't mess around with FinCEN. Absolutely. Or the IRS, for that matter. Don't mess with the IRS. I never recommend trying to evade taxes, by the way. When Bitcoin goes from 20K to 40K and I sell for CST, where is the extra CST come from? Well, it just comes from the open market, right? So like people have to put it up on liquidity pools, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It comes from people minting CST and then putting it in let's say a Bitcoin CST liquidity pair. So when people are able to mint all these dollars, they use them for a variety of things. They don't all just use them to buy coins. Some of them use them to provide liquidity as well. So you can still there's a finite amount of coins. You know, no new money is being created or destroyed here. It's all in the bank. And there's a 1-for-1 in the bank versus in the digital crypto world. Am I right on that?
Yeah. I mean, in the circumstances that Digital Farm's talking about, in order to do what he's describing, you would have to wrap your Bitcoin on ETH. You would have to then bridge it to from Ethereum to PulseChain. Then you would have to exchange it for CST on PulseX or another DEX. And then once you're holding your CST, you could go through the exact same checks with us as the fiat on-ramp or anybody else. And the CST will be burned when you do the off-ramp. And then assuming you have a bank account tied to it, which you have to in order to burn, then you'll just be distributed the US dollars in your bank account.
Yeah. Crypto Kings wants to know, would it be advised to do 10 $1,000 transactions? I don't really think so, bro. It's not like they're going to go after you. I mean, if you're not like a criminal, you're not doing anything wrong. I mean, I've done greater than $1,000 transactions through Coinbase, all the time. I think they know. I mean, like Coast was saying, it's mostly for foreign and domestic threats. There's plenty of regular dudes out there just putting in $10,000, $20,000. Plus, the more we get inflation, the less $10,000 actually really is. I think don't worry about it. If you're putting in millions, yeah, they might keep an eye on you, but you might be at increased risk of audit. But that comes with the territory. You're always going to be at increased risk of audit if you're dealing with multiple millions of dollars. It's much more likely than if you're dealing with thousands of dollars, because if you're doing any fishy stuff on the $1 million scale, they know they can milk you for more money, or there's a higher chance that you're doing something bad. So that's my 2 cents. What do you think about that, Coast?
Yeah, look, there's an outside chance that if you started doing $10,000 transactions, it might appear that you were doing something malicious. And so you might actually raise more flags by doing that than by just doing
That's
one
a good point.
$10,000 transaction.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, don't do 10 back-to-back $1,000 transactions. I mean, if you're dollar cost averaging and you get a paycheck every 2 weeks and you want to put $500 every 2 weeks into stablecoin, like that probably looks pretty normal. But if you're doing 10 back-to-back in one day versus one $10,000 in a single day, just do the 10 grand. It's actually not as much money in the grand scheme of. I mean, obviously it's a lot of money, but there's some really, really rich people out there. So don't worry
I'm
about
guessing
that
by doing that, you would probably confuse your bank and ours. So
yeah. Dollar cost cryptos in the house. Insert sad making you feel bad music for not liking the video and choosing to send a young crypto coffee into the streets. Guys, like and subscribe. I don't want to be a poor boy homeless on the streets. Like and subscribe. I need that sweet, sweet YouTube money. Thanks for stopping by, DCC. Great to see you in Vegas, by the way, bro. Nadir Khan says, how does this affect PulseX? Does it take some of the volume away? The answer is no, it adds more volume. Because, like Coach just said, there's a PulseX interface on the platform. So all the platform is doing is giving you a way to turn your bank money into stablecoin, crypto stablecoin money, and immediately from the same website, like how you have an iframe on hex.com that has a little window into Uniswap V2. It's gonna be like the same thing. You can put a decentralized exchange anywhere. You could slap it on any website. All it is an iframe in a website. So once you've got that stablecoin in your native wallet, it's probably going to be your MetaMask wallet. You can go ahead and use pulsex. So I think this adds more volume into pulsex. Thoughts?
yeah, it should. Obviously there are ways to provide exchange services, but we're trying to be non-custodial. We're trying to go against those. And so we're really just hoping to get money onto PulseX if we can. We were pretty big into the PulseX sacrifice. So, a whole bunch of PulseX being burned isn't bad for us either.
That's true. More transactions, more volume. PulseX number go up. You guys know how it is. You guys have studied buy and burn for months now. Somebody wants to know if you're Australian.
Yes, I am. There's 6 of us in the Coast company. The Australians, there's 2 Australians and 4 Americans. It just so happens that the Australians are the talkers.
Hell yeah. Shout out to the Australians, man. The Aussies are killing it. There's a big community over there, and you guys are actually doing some shit too. But so are you allowed to say where you're based in, or do you not want to give that up?
We don't really release any of that.
Gotcha.
Right now, I can tell you it's East Coast.
East Coast. All right. Australians making moves in America, boys and girls. Dollar cost crypto. Insert sadder making you feel bad music for not liking the video and choosing to send a young crypto coffee in the streets and having to sell hacks. Love your coffee. Vegas was sick. Hell yeah. DCC. It's my guy right there. Wow, we got 400 people watching. So
hell yeah.
This is really incredible. This is a little bit more than I usually have, probably because it actually is a legit product that's going to bring millions of people and honestly, like tens of millions of dollars into PulseChain in the near term, right? In the near term. So I don't know, man. I know everybody wants to hear about the weight token. I keep seeing comments about it. What's the farthest you'll go talking about weight right now?
We can't build anything on weight or describe anything that we would build on weight without potentially making weight a security. And so we're stuck in the same regulatory framework that everybody else is. It's just that we try to be very careful about what we say. And so the most I can say is that, hey, we're actually working on a V1C of the DApp to make the interface a little bit better, bring on some on-chain data, get our leagues and things going, have some ranking data, but none of it is going to like fundamentally change the product in any way.
Yeah, well, that contract is immutable, right? I mean, you'll have to add on to it if anything does happen. But hey, guys, no expectations of profit from the work of others. If you don't want to be a security, you can't promise work. You can't promise profit from the work of others. So for now, that's all we get. Let's see. What else? What else? Is it secretly crypto crazy? I don't know who that is.
No, I don't know who that is either. Sorry.
Yeah. Jurgle says, this is great for noobs, converts, and quick, clear transactions. Yes, it is, sir. Now you're getting it. Now we're getting it. Steve D says, thanks, Crypto Copy, or hey, Crypto Copy and Hexkins. Hey, Steve D. Let's see. Golden Seti says, liquid loans and fiat will definitely need to work with 0xCoast. I didn't think about fiat as well. Shout out to the fiat boys. If you're listening, you might want to talk to this man right here. Stablecoin could be pretty cool in a leverage platform, a lending platform. Coffee, everyone. Why not skip stables and go for pulsex or Pulse, just like MetaMask sells ETH and other tickers? That's a good question. Any plans to maybe add like PLS as the asset?
We can't do that, unfortunately. The business that we have described to regulators and to our banking partners does not require money transmitter licenses because we're not in the flow of funds. If we were to allow people to purchase Pulse or PulseX, we would very likely be in the flow of funds, which would make us a money transmitter, and it could also make us a securities broker dealer, and we don't have securities broker dealer licensure either. So unfortunately not, you're just gonna have to buy it on PulseX.
Gotcha. That's interesting. So I'm always learning stuff. So the flow of funds has to do with MTLs, money transmitters. And there's really no way to take someone's money and give them back PLS without exchanging their money for PLS on their behalf, unless you just have some astronomically large pool of PLS sitting around. But I'm sure you don't want to give up your stack just to sell to other people, right? Like,
well,
nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, we wouldn't actually sell it. Like I said, I think in the fiat on-ramp, especially with new people, if their order's under a certain threshold or over a certain threshold, we might just give them a couple of Pulse to get started, because we obviously don't want them to get stuck in their MetaMask account where they've used our fiat on-ramp and now they've got a whole bunch of CST, but there's no Pulse. So we'll probably operate the equivalent of a faucet to just make sure they've got enough to do their do their PulseX transactions.
Oh, true. You could also just link out to freepulse.io or embed freepulse, or one of those many faucets that exists already today. But yeah, I mean, plus everybody does start with, well, everybody that holds Ethereum will have some PLS because that'll be converted.
Right. But, yeah, we're more focused on new users and bringing new people to it. So
thank you for that. Seems like a lot of people are missing the point. A lot of people are just trying to get money from Hexicans these days. But yeah, it's all about onboarding new people, guys. This is how we all win together. Wealth creation, I say this all the time, it's a positive sum game. Whereas trading or just circling money within, recycling the same money, that's a zero-sum game. If one person exchanges coin A for coin B, and that person exchanges coin B for coin C, and then C back to coin A, what really happened? Nothing really happened there. It's just a change of hands, right? So this is huge, guys. What are we talking about? The price of Hex, 0.037042. All right. There's a big dump in the markets today, but Hex didn't seem to be, as affected. Let's see. Is there anything else that you want to tell people?
Yeah, I wanted to raise an idea that I don't think anybody has considered, but I think we as a community really should. All of the stuff that we're talking about is difficult because of the regulatory environment. We could all, if we got together and did a sacrifice or a fundraising of some kind, there are businesses out there in the crypto space that are going to go bankrupt in the next very small amount of time, right? We've seen problems. Look at Coinbase's share price, or look at what happened with Robinhood, or look at Voyager, right? There are companies in crypto that have money transmitter licenses and regulatory contacts, or that have huge user bases and things. Like, all of this is difficult to build from scratch. It would be so much easier if we all just raised $100 million and went and bought one of these Chapter 11 companies. So much simpler. We would get all the licensure, we would get the customer base, we would get all of the existing assets, and we would have like a system built ready to go for PulseChain on launch day. And so I've mentioned this on Twitter a few times. I've talked to people about it. Like, we could go the easy route and just buy one of these failing businesses, or, we've gone the harder route and built it from scratch.
Yeah, and it's the harder route too, because it's not as cut and paste of a business model. I mean, I like that you copied TUSD, but that's a very unique outlier. A lot of these companies, these fiat on-ramps, do it a little bit differently. Golden CD wants to know, and again, this might breach securities and expectations stuff, but when launch, sir?
Yeah, actually, there aren't any securities concerns with the product that we're launching. Even the implications around providing discounts to people with the staking of the coin that we choose to do discounts with, that doesn't make CST or the stablecoin a security in any way. So we're actually probably not going to be regulated by the SEC at all, if that's based on the business use case that we have. So we're not really as worried about that as you might imagine. But we'll be launching when PulseChain launches within 14 days, I would say. We're aiming to have something up on testnet in the next month.
Wow. That's beautiful. Within 14 days, that's going to be huge. And I guess that leads me to another question. So you're going to have something on testnet. You've got somewhat of a working product now. Yeah. When are we going to be able to play around with it? And what's the audit process looking like right now?
Yeah, look, we've got a lot of compliance checks that we have to do. I'm hoping that we will have something up running through the various different sandboxes that we have, because we actually aren't paying for all of the different services that we need until PulseChain launches. Just wouldn't make financial sense. So we'll be running through sandboxes for our compliance checks and our ledger software. We're aiming to have that done sometime in October, definitely this year.
October, nice. Now it's coming up fast, guys. It's coming up fast. PulseChain might even be out by December or January if we're lucky. But I just pulled dates out of my ass, right? We never really know. Hey, Coast, you might know this guy. He seems to know a lot about the project. I don't know if he's on your team or something. It's FIJS Features. He's saying that the fee you pay is for the actual Ethereum miners and node for weights. Nothing goes to the Coast team. This is all true. I mean, he's right. To claim, I guess he's talking about claiming weight. So if somebody was asking about claiming weight, yeah, the only way to claim that token is to pay the Ethereum gas fee. So if you can't pay the $5 gas fee, then don't do it. But he's right. Nothing goes to the Coast team at all.
I'm happy to describe how that's changed since we launched it, actually, if you like. So when we originally launched Wade, the team itself was incurring all of the Chainlink costs. And I think we spent about 26 ETH in the first week on subsidizing all of those Chainlink fees for people. And it just ultimately wasn't something we could sustain. So we did a Twitter poll and we said, look, we can hand off these expenses to the user. It actually removes centralization because it means we're not, again, sort of in the flow of funds, but it will incur an extra fee for you. And overwhelmingly, Twitter voted to incur the extra fee and remove that centralization. So, nice of them to do that.
Yeah, cool. And I personally haven't claimed my weight yet because I'm waiting, and I feel like it's a pretty low risk. Me personally, I feel like as long as Richard gives me a 24-hour heads up, I'll go ahead and claim when he gives that heads up. But it's good to hear that a lot of people have already claimed. No one's lost any money. No one's gotten hacked. It is audited, decentralized, immutable code. I wouldn't have made a video about the weight token if I didn't think it was safe, right? But I can only ever be 99.9% sure about anything. There's always risk in everything. So again, when it comes to claiming weight, you decide for yourself if you want to push the button. It's your responsibility. I'm just a guy on YouTube, right?
Yeah, as of today, we've got 3,300 holders, supplies almost 90 million coins, and about 25,000 people have interacted with the contract. So it's pretty good. In terms of percentages, it's actually a little bit higher than Hex's relative to the Bitcoin pre-claim. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff. Yeah, keep an eye on those stats, guys. I'm sure maybe after the stream, we might even see that pump up a little bit. Crypto Artie says, great meeting you in person, Coffee. Great meeting you too, Crypto Artie. This guy was partying hard. He's a super awesome Hexakin. Anyone know where to get those amazing onboarding gold-plated Hex cards that were given out of the Power City hats? Waiting on a response from Zazzle. A little off topic, but I've got a couple of those cards that were just given to me at random meetups. I guess you should have taken more hats, Artie. I don't know where they got them from, but I think it was the Germans. I think it was A-Bit and Patrick. So maybe ask them on Twitter. Cool. We're at the hour mark, and somebody wants to know, should we claim? We should claim before PulseChain launch. I'm not telling you if you should claim or not, but there won't be a chance to claim after PulseChain launches. That's the whole thing about wait, is that if you wait too long, you can't claim it anymore. So you can claim it now or any day up until PulseChain launches. But every day you wait, every day you continue to not claim, you're actually accruing more wait tokens. So it incentivizes you for waiting, which is kind of funny. It's monetizing the one thing that we're all doing right now, which is literally just waiting. So you got 3 of them. Nice. All right. We're at about an hour. We've had a peak of 400 people here, and I think I'm starting to get it, Coast. I think I'm starting to get the end game here. Yeah, it's funny. It's like I didn't catch on with Alex from Hedron right away, but when he launched iCoast, it all came full circle, and I feel like the same situation is going to happen now. Just a feeling. Any last words that you want to talk about before we go?
No, man, I just appreciate the opportunity, obviously. Really like what you do in the space, and hope to be back at some point. We're going to be here. We're available on Twitter. We're available on Telegram. And we're going to be here trying to build products for the ecosystem. So anyone who wants to get involved is welcome to join us.
Beautiful. Yeah, we need more people like you. All right, boys and girls, adios. Like and subscribe.